When I was a kid, I used to think that pork chops and karate chops were the same thing. I used to think they were both pork chops. Because my grandmother thought it was cute, and because they were my favorite, she let me keep doing it. Not really a big deal. One day, before I realized fat kids are not designed to climb trees, I fell out of a tree and bruised the right side of my body. I didn't want to tell my grandmother because I didn't want to get in trouble for being somewhere I wasn't supposed to be. The next day, my gym teacher noticed the bruises and I was sent to the principal's office. From there, I was sent to a nice room with a really nice lady who asked me all kinds of questions about my life at home. I saw no reason to lie. As far as I was concerned, life was pretty good. I told them, whenever I'm sad, my grandmother gives me karate chops. This led to a full-scale investigation and I was removed from the house for 3 days. Till somebody finally decided to ask me how I got the bruises. News of this silly little story fled through the school and I earned my first nickname, Pork Chop. To this day, I hate pork chops. Now, I'm not the only kid who grew up this way. Surrounded by people who used to say that rhyme about sticks and stones, as if broken bones hurt worse than the names that we got called, and we got called them all. So we grew up feeling like nobody would ever fall in love with us. That the sun was something, we would never feel like the sun was something somebody built for us in their tool shed. So broken heartstrings bled the blues as we tried to empty ourselves so we would feel nothing. Don't tell me that hurts less than a broken bone. That an ingrown life is something surgeons can cut away, that there's no way for it to metastasize, it does. She was 8 years old. Our first day of grade 3 when she got called ugly. We both got moved to the back of the class so we'd stop being bombarded by spitballs, but the school halls were a battleground. We got outnumbered day after wretched day. We used to stay inside for recess because outside was worse. Outside we'd have to rehearse running away or learn to stay still like statues, giving no clues that we were there. In grade 5, they taped a sign to the front of her desk that said, "Beware of dog." To this day, despite a loving husband, she does not think she is beautiful because of a birthmark that takes up a little less than half her face. Kids used to say she looks like a wrong answer somebody tried to erase but couldn't quite get the job done. And they'll never understand that she's raising 2 kids whose definition of beauty begins with the word mom. Because they see her heart before they see her skin. Because she's only ever always been amazing. He was a broken branch grafted onto a different family tree. Adopted. Not because his parents opted for a different destiny. He was 3 years old when he became a mixed drink of 1 part left alone and 2 parts tragedy. Had a personality made up of tests and pills, lived like the uphills were mountains and the downhills were cliffs, 4 fists suicidal, a tidal wave of antidepressants, and an adolescence of being called Popper. 1 part because of the pills, 99 parts because of the cruelty. He tried to kill himself in grade 10 when a kid who could still go home to mom and dad had the audacity to tell him get over it. As if depression is something that can be remedied by any of the contents found in a first aid kit. To this day, he is a stick of TNT lit at both ends, can describe to you in detail the way the sky bends in the moments before it's about to fall. And despite an army of friends who will call him an inspiration, he remains a conversation piece between people who can't understand. Sometimes being drug-free has less to do with addiction and more to do with sanity. We're not the only kids who grew up this way. To this day, there are kids still being called names. The classics are "Hey stupid," "Hey spaz." It seems like every school has an arsenal of names getting updated every year, and if a kid breaks in school and nobody chooses to hear, do they make a sound? Or are they just background noise on a record stuck on repeat saying things like "kids can be cruel"? Every school was a big top circus tent. The packing orders went from lion tamers to acrobats, clowns to carnies, all these miles ahead of who we were. We were freaks. The lobster-clawed boys and bearded ladies, oddities juggling depression and loneliness, playing solitaire, spin the bottle, trying to kiss the wounded parts of ourselves and heal, but at night, while the others slept, we walked a tightrope, and yes, some of us fell, but I want to tell them that all of this is just debris, left over from when we finally decided to smash all the things we thought we used to be. And if you don't see anything beautiful about yourself, get a better mirror. Look a little harder, stare a little longer, because there's something inside you that made you keep going despite everyone who told you to quit. You built a cast around your broken heart, and you signed it yourself, you signed it, they were wrong. Because maybe you didn't belong to a group or a clique. Maybe they decided to pick you last for basketball or everything. Maybe you used to bring bruises and broken teeth to show and tell but never told. Because how are you supposed to stand your ground when everyone around you wants to bury you beneath it? You have to believe that they were wrong. They had to be wrong. Why else would we still be here? We grew up learning to cheer on the underdog because we see ourselves in them. We stem from a root planted in the belief that we were not what we were called. We are not abandoned cars stalled out and sitting empty on some highway, and if in some way we are, don't worry. We only got out to walk and get gas. We are graduating members from the class of We Made It. Not the faded echoes of voices crying out names will never hurt me. Because of course they did. But our lives will only ever always continue to be a balancing act that has less to do with pain and more to do with beauty.